Thank you, Natalia. Theo, I'll start with you. And we are living in a very competitive global services environment. Is Cyprus really competitive as compared to several other jurisdictions which are providing similar services that Cyprus is providing?
Ajay, thank you. Natalia, thank you for the invitation. I think that Cyprus has come a long way, especially after the crisis in 2013. I've heard the previous panelists talking about changes, and it's something that I tend to agree. We've done a lot to come to a point where we can call ourselves competitors and have a competitive advantage compared to other financial services, especially in the European Union. I think we've done changes in terms of compliance and transparency, slow changes. That is a problem. I think we're still in the point where we're trying to understand how compliance and transparency can affect doing business in Cyprus. But I think what we attract now in terms of new investment is the real business. Having a substance in Cyprus and being able to do business in transparency. What I think is an issue, probably we'll discuss later on, is what we mentioned about banking and also e-governance and bureaucracy.
Oh, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
But I think here's something, Andreas might have to tell us something about technology as a solution to several of the problems of transparency, compliance, even marketing. And you are essentially, as I understand, a fintech company. And we don't hear that word very often in... Could we see the microphone, please? Tell us a little bit about what you do, because fintech is, especially in this era of blockchain, people say that blockchain and fintech, it's going to change the world economy, finance, banking work. What is it that you do, and in general, what is happening in Cyprus in this field of fintech?
Thank you very much for the question. Natalia, thank you for the invite. What we do, we are essentially a financial technology and services company. We're based in Cyprus, and as you said, think big. We service some of the biggest hedge funds, asset managers, and banks in the world. Norges, the Norwegian state-owned fund, Mitsubishi Bank in the States. Essentially, we make it easy for hedge funds, asset managers, after they trade, to make sure that what they actually executed or what they think they ordered in the market is correct. We all say that it's easy nowadays to trade any financial instrument. Well, there's financial instruments that have more than 1,000 data fields. Someone needs to make sure that this is done correctly. That's where technology comes in. Our network consists of some of the biggest financial institutions.
And you built this company in Cyprus?
Well, the company actually, it's started in London from two Cypriots, then they moved to Cyprus. And obviously from Cyprus, we provide our services worldwide. We were one of the first companies to adopt cloud, one of the early customers of Amazon Web Services. And this is, now you can definitely ask me, why you don't have any banks as customers in Cyprus?
Well, right, I was going to ask why Theo is not your customer.
Well, well, basically, the Cyprus Central Bank doesn't recognize the cloud. It's not safe. They don't embrace it. In the meantime, we have totally digital banks working abroad. No branches, nothing. Software on Amazon. It can be on Azure. I don't want to be an Amazon advocate here. But you have multiple banks with virtually no infrastructure. And this is where we all need to adapt to what's coming. The good old days, we will go to the bank, see our personal banker, have a coffee, discuss football, politics, what's going on in the village.
And then default on the loan.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know the guy.
Because
right?
you know the guy.
He's not going to call you and say you need
and there's
to
no
pay
transparency to what's going on.
Yeah, but in the financial services now, what investors want is transparency, stable climate. Transparency, how does it come?
Okay, I'm more interested in how you created that business, so I'll come back to you. Okay. Christos, you have several roles. I know you know a lot about hospitality industry, but I will not go into that. As Association of Employers, one of the problems that I'm facing right now, I employ about 100 people in my hotel. I can't find employees in Cyprus. Nobody wants to work. And it is becoming like a Kuwait without the gas and oil. And more skilled labor from Eastern Europe doesn't want to come and work in Cyprus because they can earn 2-3 times more in Western Europe and in Northern Europe. How can companies like this that are on the cutting edge of technology and developing new products, what is happening with the situation with labor on the island?
Thanks God, the technology companies do not need a lot of labor.
Yes, very good. But we do.
Yes, but you're absolutely right. It's a crucial thing. That's why also we're pushing towards maximization of and flexibility towards employment of foreigners to Cyprus. I think it's very important. I mean, if we want to be an international destination, and we are, we have to behave like this. So in this context, we have to reassure that we have all the required flexibility towards employing people from other countries. This is one thing. The second thing, of course, is it's a matter of culture development in the local market. We have to encourage people with various schemes to be employed to the industries that having the highest demand and needs in respect to labor.
We'll continue. Ilya, you are in a very interesting sector, and it confounds me why Cyprus does not have great luxury malls and shopping centers. You are a pioneer in luxury shopping in Cyprus. Can you tell us about what is your vision about development of this very important factor in Cyprus?
Well, Cyprus generally has a big issue with the retail. Cyprus is not popular for shopping tourism, which is really bad. It's a perfect location to develop outlet villages, great department stores, modernize it. There is a big problem with employment as well. There are no skilled employees in this sector because they just lack of experience, because they cannot get it anywhere. For example, we were in negotiations with one of the biggest retailers in Cyprus to develop in Limassol their old department store into something modern, something new, like Galleria Lafayette or Selfridges in London. But everybody is so focused in developing residential projects using the Passport scheme that all the best locations now are transforming to big buildings selling apartments. So after a year of negotiations, they changed their mind. So next year they're demolishing the department store and building an apartment block, a tower, another tower in Limassol. So right now Limassol has only one quite old-fashioned department store. So next year we will miss even that. And I have a friend from Italy. They own 4 outlet villages. In Sicily, they bring 5 million tourists to the outlet village they own.
5 million tourists to one outlet village.
The company is called Percassi Group. Yeah, and it took me years for him to bring here, and he came half a year ago. And when he saw all the retail development here, he said that it's the best location to make an outlet village, combining with the tourism as a seafront location, having beach and having everything together.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yesterday I met a professional, and she's here today, and she has developed, I think, more than 20 of the best known malls in Russia, from Mega Mall, and she has advised on some of the best shopping centers in Russia. Russia is now a shopping paradise compared to Cyprus. And this is the same question. She said, why is everybody developing only residential? What about all these people, rich people who are coming here? Where are they going to shop? Are they going to have to fly to Dubai to do shopping?
Yeah, there is no infrastructure for shopping at all. And we're trying to develop now in one of the residential projects a luxury, a premium brands street. And that's the only project we found where there is almost 4,000 square meters of retail space.
Right.
And
So,
that's an
but
issue.
Theo, taking on from what Ilya said and what Andreas said, is the professional industry, accountants, lawyers, advisors, are they ready for the real sector of economy, or are they still more or less catered to serving offshore wealth and, you know, easy money?
I think we're still behind. There are new industries that we haven't yet explored when it comes to the technical aspect of dealing with these industries. I would say, for example, IT and technology companies. How do you launch a project through Cyprus with crowdfunding or using an ICO? How do the banks react to these projects launched through Cyprus? We give the incentives, we give R&D tax breaks to IT companies. We have the infrastructure, but still, in terms of knowledge, I think we are behind. I think education is helping on this. I would say, at least in Nicosia, University of Nicosia is one of the first to give a blockchain technology degree. So that means in 10 years' time, we'd have the youngsters ready to get into these industries, but it's still slow. Business intelligence, data analytics, you need professionals in these industries to assist us professionals dealing with this new.
It's very, very interesting you said about youth from Nicosia. Actually, my nephew graduated from Trinity College in Cambridge. And I was once asking him, I said, what is the nationality of, and you know, Trinity is the smartest kids in the world. And he said, yeah, a lot of Indians, a lot of Chinese, a lot of Brits, but actually the biggest single community is Cypriots there. So you have so many bright Cypriots who don't want to come back to work here. Maybe Andres, as a fintech leader, have you thought of creating some kind of an accelerator to develop more fintech companies or basically technologies companies so that Cypriot talents and the brain drain that has happened, they can come back to Cyprus and create great technology companies?
To be honest with you, no. And the main reason, I will summarize it through a small story. 3 weeks ago, we had in Cyprus some of our biggest customers and business collaborators in Cyprus. A lot of them met with the local banks, with the regulators, Ministry of Finance. What they all came back and told me is this: you guys are very, very good people. You are happy to assist, you want to learn, your knowledge level as far as technology and especially the finance industry is not that high, but you are all very, very willing to learn, and we feel like this will be a good place for us to invest and open up businesses. And this is where I think we need to change our mindset, and instead of every 5 minutes mentioning tax breaks and tax breaks and tax breaks, to tell them, you know what, we are here, we are helpful, we want to listen to you, and we want to create win-win situations. And that is the dream. We need to think, how many taxis does Uber own? None. Airbnb, how many hotels, flats, houses do they have? None. So it's the idea. We need to get the idea and think globally, think big. People do not invest just for taxation or just because of the sun. They wanna, if they lose their dog, they want to make sure that Christos and me are traveling by and we're going to call them.
Yes.
This is what we need to embrace. And something else, we will be as good as our weakest link. So we need the universities, the fund managers, the banks, all to come together, work, and especially we want competition. Competition will make all of us much, much better. Accelerators in Cyprus, I'm invited, I go often to London, Frankfurt. Cyprus is not on the map.
No, it's amazing. You talked about tax breaks. I lived for a while in Denmark. 70% of our income as taxes. United States never had less than 35% corporate tax as far as I can remember. And people still pour trillions of dollars of FDI into United States. But in traditional sectors of economy, why is it that we are obsessed with tax breaks? Because certainly growth is not just a matter of taxes or low taxes. It is a matter of opportunity, skills, ambition. How can traditional sectors of Cyprus economy, use the term, leapfrog and grow not at 5 or 10% a year, but develop 20 and 30% a year? Christos.
I think first of all, we have to invest heavily in our infrastructure. Let's get the example of tourism. The latest developments have shown the growth and the potential of our tourism, though we know that we have been favored by the geopolitical situation. In this context, we have to reassure the competitiveness of our tourists, for example, by having the product, the infrastructure, the service, and all the other differentiation parameters that needs to be developed and be highlighted, and not to be dependent from any geopolitical or other factors. We have to invest carefully, effectively, with the vision of a long-term planning. Reassure we are so competitive in each particular sector. This may apply to tourism, this may apply to our professional services, this may apply in some other newly developed areas.
Ilya, in the previous panel, I think it was Dr. Panayoti, he said everything is psychology. And your business of luxury is all about the mindset of the people who are selling, who are communicating with that buyer of luxury products. So infrastructure is one issue, but what else do you need to create Cyprus as a luxury destination so that we can have, you said 5 million in one mall. How can we get 10 million people to come here just for shopping?
We need the developers and real estate companies to look more into commercial and retail sector. It needs to be changed because at the moment Cyprus has only 3 malls, and these 3 malls have the same brands in everywhere, and Inditex Group does not let even H&M in any of these malls. So even H&M cannot enter Cyprus properly. So people are very limited with the choice. And this is concerning fast fashion, this is concerning luxury as well. There is no streets of premium brands. This creates frustration for customers. They complain all the time that they have no clue where to go for shopping.
So if I find you a good developer, you'll be happy to work with them and create a big shopping village in Cyprus?
Of course.
5 million people, right?
Of course, we'll try our best.
Theo, wish list. What do you want to see happen so that you can really cater to the world's greatest companies that will come and do business here in Cyprus? Let's imagine they'll be all here in 2 or 3 years.
I think things to change in infrastructure. We mentioned e-governance. We want Cyprus to be a financial center, and we want things to be done quickly. E-governance is a very big thing. We're way behind this. We've implemented a lot of changes, but they're still yet to come. And we need to be able to educate investors that doing business in Cyprus should be real. We need the substance here, we need the companies here, we need the workforce here, we need the brains here, so that we can have a financial center that's real and can give the tax incentives. The tax incentives are part of it.
Yes, it's necessary.
But it shouldn't be just tax incentives.
Thanks a lot to Natalia. We get to see such a company that does not advertise itself, but it sounds like you are a fascinating, futuristic digital company. Andreas, I think you should take lessons from very humble engineers of Google and Microsoft who talk a lot about their company in very public forums. So can we see you doing a lot of events, maybe with Natalia, so that we can know more about these amazing technology companies of Cyprus that are really hidden from public view?
Well, okay, it's the culture. We don't like to self-praise and advertise a lot, but we do attend and sponsor in almost events in Frankfurt, London, Luxembourg every single month. I would love to see more people in Cyprus getting into not just the nice, fancy blockchain or RegTech or FinTech, but to actually think of a problem that they can solve to the masses. I have to tell you, I go to events all the time, especially in London, and what I see, it's tens, hundreds of companies presenting. They have a solution, but they don't have the problem. When I did my master's years ago, one of our professors said, think outside the box. Not really, there is no box. Sky is the limit. You need to think big, and it can be through technology. How can technology help education, funds, and shipping industry with one solution? Well, it does, and I'm sure it will be more in the future, but it should take Theo, Angelos, and sorry, I forgot your name, from the ship industry to all sit together in a table with your IT people, with the government, and see where are we going. Let's put a plan forward, but actions, not
Well,
words.
it's, when I created the first software company in India, we had two problems. We didn't have electricity and we didn't have computers. But we, we knew mathematics and we said we'll do software. Last question, very quick, Christos. Problem solving. Cyprus has a very big problem. All-inclusive tourism. And I believe that it is, like I said, a biblical plague. Can we come out of it? Is there a future for Cyprus tourism?
Of course, you know better than me that there are different levels of all-inclusive products.
You can't convince me. Tell me, are we going
No,
to
no,
end
no, no.
all-inclusive or not?
But we have to just register that. But as a long-term strategy, and if we really manage to differentiate, certainly we will not differentiate by selling all-inclusive. All-inclusive is usually the transitional phase when a tourist destination is trying to catch up again. But this happened a few years ago. So we have to direct or redirect our energy and strategy in developing, differentiating.
An authentic Cyprus tourism model.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much, Christos. Natalia, because she's standing in front of me, you're not looking at her. Thank you very much,
You know,
gentlemen.
every speaker today, every panel today, they were late. But it really worth it, and it's one of the most interesting discussions that I've ever heard. So a big round of applause to our panelists.